Hey everybody, this is Shanita. I am coming back to give you some more information. This is a healthy natural hair channel. I appreciate you tuning in. Thank you if you're new. I appreciate you stopping by. However you ended up in this feed, I appreciate you being here. I hope that you will stick around for more videos. I love having you guys here along my natural hair journey, trying to give you as much information as I can. I am receiving just as much that you are giving to me, and I love having you here. The more information we can create in this little space, the more we can help each other, and we can all have the healthiest head of hair that we've ever had. So I appreciate you being here. So this video is going to be, I'm going to winterize the channel a little bit. So as you know, it is turning cooler outside, at least it is where I am, and we need to take some few extra steps to take care of our hair once it turns cold. Our hair can already get dry and brittle at the drop of a hat. So we have to take some extra steps to make sure it stays moisturized in this colder weather to keep it healthy. And so I'm going to give you some ideas of things that you can do during these changing temperatures to keep your hair in tip-top condition so it can stay moisturized and healthy. If you're interested in hearing these options, then stay tuned. Okay, so I'm back and I'm going to just run through a few things that I jotted down. I know you guys are going to be able to think of more, and I am going to ask you for those at the end of the video. This is sort of a participatory video. This is not just going to be about me because I got this idea and just literally took a few seconds to jot down some notes and started recording. So it is not pre-planned. If I give it some more thought, I probably would have more things to say. But I want you guys to participate in this one, and this will help me as well. Here are some things that you should do during the colder winter weather to keep your hair healthy and in great condition. So actually, first of all, I'm going to talk about 3 things that are a must. These were supposed to be options. There are 3 things though that are an absolute must. They are non-negotiable. They happen if nothing else happened. The first one is deep conditioning your hair. This is that part of the process of your wash day where your hair absorbs all of the nutrients and moisture, and it helps to repair dry, brittle hair. And this is the perfect time during the wash day to do that. You want to make your hair as flexible and supple and soft as it could possibly be. Before you go into any styling, you want to do that deep conditioning process. If you're not a person who deep conditions with heat, it is hot and it is hard to get up under some heat when it is already hot out. So during the winter months, whether that's a hooded dryer, whether that's a heated towel on your head, whether that's a hot head, whether that's a heated bonnet source, whatever, just 15 minutes. If you do that while you're deep conditioning your hair, you will be doing it a tremendous favor. You will be doing so much good for your hair that you may not see right away, but over time you're going to see that your hair stays moisturized, and when it stays moisturized, it won't break as much, and then it can grow and be healthy. And so that non-negotiable. Just, I know you've heard all about deep conditioning. I won't get into a whole lot of details about that here, but it's a must. If you have any questions about what I'm saying in any of these little tips, you guys, be sure to drop those down, because I'm assuming everybody knows what deep conditioning is, but there may be some people who don't, and don't feel embarrassed and don't feel bad, and drop it down below. I would love to coach you along with what I've learned so far. Anytime, just drop down below and let me know. So first of all, deep conditioning, a must. Second of all, a satin bonnet or pillowcase, a must. A must. You absolutely cannot sleep on cotton with natural hair. I mean, you can, but you're going to find that your hair lacks moisture and stays dry and brittle all the time, no matter what you do. And what you're doing is allowing that cotton to just absorb all of the moisture out of your hair. So you're putting it on, the cotton is pulling it out, and so you're going to be frustrated when you find that my hair still stays so dry all the time, and people don't realize how much that matters. You think it's just a small thing. It makes a huge difference in keeping your hair moisturized. So if you don't have a satin bonnet, then use a satin pillowcase or a satin whatever you got and put it over your pillowcase. Just be sure not to use cotton at night. That extra friction of, you know, the tossing and turning and getting comfortable, it all matters. It all matters. Be sure you're keeping your tresses nice and soft and protected during the night. The third thing that is going to be a requirement during the colder season is pre-pooing. Now, I don't want to hear the whining. I don't want to hear it. For those of you who are gonna, I'm not pre-pooing. Listen to me. You need to pre-poo your hair. Now, I preach this all the time, and I typically do it all year long. I've come on here and admitted that there are some few times that I haven't done it, but as a practice, it's just necessary, guys. It's necessary. It is. There's so many retail pre-poos out there. It is so easy to just mist your hair with some water and add that pre-poo to your hair and let it sit for a little bit, whatever the directions say to do. For me, I think using an oil pre-poo during the colder months is better. It really does fill in those gaps in your hair. It protects your hair from a stripping shampoo or just shampoo period. Shampoo raises the pH of your hair. Just about all of it does. Even a moisturizing one, even a sulfate free one raises the pH of your hair, and you want to keep your hair nice and smooth so that when you go to wash your hair, it's not all matted together and you're feeling like, what in the world did I just put to my hair? The process of putting that oil on top protects your hair from doing that. Once you've now finished shampooing your hair, after you've pre-pooed, you're going to find that hair is shiny. It detangles so well. It is so smooth, and yet it's clean. There is just a science to this. I'm not a chemist or a scientist. I cannot tell you the science behind it. I am a licensed cosmetologist. Listen to me. Please just take the time, even if it's not long. Put some oil on your hair, section it off and just dampen it, and then add oil from root to tip. Rub it into your scalp, rub it into your roots, and take it all the way down to the ends of your hair. Every single strand. You will be so amazed at how much easier your wash day is. You will be absolutely thrilled with how moisturized your hair stays. Once you're shampooing and that deep conditioning session goes well, like it just makes everything better about the process. Like you get to the point where you don't mind it. And if you start pre-pooing, you'll see that, and then you'll realize, okay, it's worth the extra effort. You can put in the work. You're gonna pay somewhere on the front end or the back end, so you can either pre-poo your hair in the beginning of the wash cycle, or you can fight with all the tangles and matting and breaking and weakening of your hair after you shampoo it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Please pre-poo your hair. Please. Don't be ashamed. If you don't pre-poo, I want you to write down below, tell your neighbor. Don't be ashamed. If you don't pre-poo your hair and you would like to start, we're going to have a come to Jesus moment. I want you to drop down below. Don't be ashamed and drop down. I don't pre-poo, but I'm going to start. Because we have to start somewhere. And this is your calling. I'm talking to you. If you do not pre-poo your hair, you need to pre-poo your hair. And you need to just fess up and then just ask whatever questions you need to know so that you will do it. I guarantee you will tell an instant difference in your hair. You won't get to the point where you hate wash days. There's some people who hate wash days. I'm like, you're not doing something right, or you are using the wrong stuff. And in order for any of that to go well, it has to start well, and that pre-poo is that first place to start. I've done lots of videos where I have mentioned that. My favorite thing to pre-poo with has been sweet almond oil. I literally dampen my hair with a spray bottle, and then I put sweet almond oil all through my hair. I section it off in sections. I do the scalp. I rub every strand with sweet almond oil. Now, it does not have to be like soaking in oil, but you need to be able to feel it, because once you add that little mist of water and start to pull the oil through, you will already start to see shedded hair coming out, because the oil just makes it so slippery and so smooth. Those shed hairs will come out during that process, and you won't get so much tangled in during your wash process. So you can use anything. You can, if you like using a cheapy shampoo, I mean a cheapy conditioner, fine. If you like using a mix of cheapy conditioners and oil, fine. If you don't like sweet almond oil and you prefer to use coconut oil, castor oil, olive oil, a mix of oils, you can do that. But I think you won't really appreciate it until you find that right one. If you've done it before and feel like it didn't make a difference, or my hair wasn't any more detangled, you haven't found the right one yet. There are, oh my gosh, there's so many cheapy ones that you can use. The detangling treatment by Just For Me, no, Just For Me is not the company. I think that's the brand. Just For Me detangling, I can't think of it, you guys. Just For Me detangling treatment. It's marketed toward kids, but lots of people, lots of adults use that detangling treatment and love it. That is a good one. Of course, the one by African Pride that everybody's been talking about for years. That is a good one. Again, I love sweet almond oil. A lot of people love coconut oil. Tons of people like olive oil. There's another one. I have one by Annabelle's that I just bought that I love. It's her coconut treatment, and it has Ayurvedic herbs in it. If you like herbs and you like playing in that, marinate that in some of the oils and then use that to pre-poo with. Like, there are so many things, and I've talked probably 30 minutes already about pre-pooing, so you know it's important. So I'm going to ask you to do a little bit of research. Go and find an article about pre-pooing natural hair and just read it, or watch another video that gets into a little more detail to tell you what it is, how to do it. But I want you to just do it. And you're not doing it for me, you're doing it for yourself. And I care about you that much that I'm willing to tell you that you need to do it and to ask you to do this for yourself, for your hair. Okay, I've made that point. So those are the three that you must do: deep condition, satin at night, pre-poo your hair. Okay, other ways you can protect your hair during the winter is protective styles. If you like braids, if you like wigs, if you like, pieces, whatever your protective style choice is, crochet hair, whatever it is that you do, because you don't want to be fooling with your hair in the cold weather, do a protective style. Make sure you're doing it safely. Don't pull out your edges. Make sure your hair is reachable and you can still keep it moisturized, because if your hair stays dry under there, you don't do anything to it for the 3-4 weeks, you're going to get so much breakage and so much damage that you're not really protecting anything. The only thing you're doing is just keeping yourself from doing your hair on a daily or weekly basis or whatever. But your hair can't thrive if it cannot be moisturized, period. If you wear wigs, if you whatever, I know there's a ton of ones now, just be sure you're doing the safe thing to your hair. Keep your scalp clean, keep your hair moisturized, make sure it's not pulling too tight on your scalp, definitely not your edges. You've heard all this before. Protective hairstyles is a good way to protect your hair during the winter. The other thing you might need to do is to trim your ends. You may want to wait to trim your ends after the colder weather, because what we find is, as we are putting on clothing for the winter, you tend to put on more. So you put on a sweater, you might have on a coat, you might have a scarf, and all of your precious hair here is hanging down on that fabric of whatever it is, and so chances are it won't be satin. So all of this hair that is rubbing down on here as you're putting coats on and off, or cozying up with your sweaters, that friction from your hair, just like with the pillowcase at night, is going to dry out your ends. If it gets dry, what's it going to do? Break. It's going to break. It's going to get weak and it's going to break off, and then you're going to find yourself having to cut off more when you trim, and you're not really protecting it. So it is important to keep those ends trimmed. It's important. But again, I will say this is more of an after winter time. Now, if you want to do it right now going into the winter season, then that would be fine, because then that'll set you up from start for a success, right? If you go into the winter season with hair that's already brittled and ends all, tacky and jagged and messed up, the only thing that happens with damaged hair is that the rest of the strands get more damaged, because the ends are dry and weak and damaged, and so that damage tends to kind of crawl up the strand, and then you just got more hair that is damaged. So you can start by having a nice trim. Doesn't have to be a lot of hair, just enough to cut off those little straggly, sticky pieces. I've got a ton of them. I need to do it. I am preaching to the choir right now. Take off some of those little straggly pieces, and that way when you have to bundle up in your clothes or put your hair in protective style, or touch your hair at all, you don't have to cause any extra damage to it by having raggedy ends. Just trim them from beginning, and then after the season you may have to check in again just to trim just a tad bit more. And so you can do a little bit now and a little bit then, or you can wait and do a whole lot at one time. Another thing you can do to protect your hair is avoid heat. This is another one that needs to be done for the most part year round. If you're someone who once or twice a year flat irons your hair, you're not going to do any damage to yours. And a lot of people do it more than that. And if you can do it properly without damaging heat, then that's fine. But typically you want to avoid heat. Your hair is already going to be dry naturally, so adding heat to it, of course, just continues to break down the bonds. The more they break down, the more heat, the more weak and damaged you're going to get. Now that does not include heat from your hooded dryer, does not include heat from your diffuser or your hot head or your heated bonnet. That is indirect heat. You're fine with that on wash days. Just the blow dryers and we typically do use blow dryers. I need to do a blow dryer video to show you how to do that safely. I really need to do that because I need to show you guys my blow dryer that I love anyway, that I think every natural should have. So yeah, let me write that down. Rabbit brain. Okay, so I was talking about avoiding heat. I think you get the picture, okay? Another thing you can do is switch to natural products. Switch to natural products. You want your ingredients to be as natural and pure and clean as you can get them. If you are a person who uses a lot of retail products that have a lot of silicones and waxes and petroleum in it, you're contributing to the dryness. And again, that's all year round. But how about in the wintertime now, when your hair automatically becomes dry? No matter what you do, it's naturally dry. And if you put those products on that seal your hair and does not allow any extra moisture to go in, now add the sweaters and the coats and scarves on top of that, you're not going to be happy once it warms up and you expose your hair. You're just not going to be happy. So sure that your products are nice and clean. Our hair loves those clean, natural products. Sometimes I read natural products and I'm like, honey, this sounds like dessert. So many nice food options and Ayurvedic herbs and conditioning properties and nut oils and butters. Oh my gosh, they're so good for your hair. Your hair loves it. If you would switch to products like that do not carry a lot of cones and heavy waxes, you will be amazed. I was talking to this about somebody the other day. It's like, we've paid all this money for these retail hair care and skincare products, and now that we're making the switch over to natural stuff, it's like, number one, these are natural resources that have been out there that we should have been and could have been using all the time. Number two, they work so much better. I promise they do. They work so much better. So switch to natural products. If you don't, at least do it for the winter time. Do it for the colder weather. You'll be able to see the difference. I guarantee you, if you do it all winter, you will not want to go back to do it once the season's over. Can I get a witness? The other thing that I do to protect my hair and skin is I use a humidifier in my room at night while I sleep. My room is upstairs, so heat rises and that air is so dry in the wintertime, and I can wake up in the middle of the night or in the mornings and my lips are dry, my face feels dry, and so you know that is affecting your hair as well. So I keep a humidifier in my room and I sleep with, and I do this all year round, you guys. I started doing because of allergies, and then once I stopped using it, I realized the difference in my skin, and I'm like, So it puts these little fine mist of air into, the air, so that you're getting this microscopic amount of mist of water on your skin and in your hair all night. And so it keeps it hydrated. It's just a little bit, but think about that for hours and hours and hours and hours. You can't see it. You won't feel it. I mean, it's not like you're going to get wet. And if you've got one that's making surfaces of floors wet, you've got it turned up too high. Just keep one on low. Keep it blowing all night long in your room. definitely over the winter time, you will be able to tell a huge difference in the quality and the suppleness of your hair, and especially your skin. Girl, we don't want that to get dry. When your skin get dry, that is what causes wrinkles and causes you to lose elasticity. That's a whole nother subject. Humidifier. If you don't have one, then that's not a requirement. Notice that wasn't in the 3 musts. So if you have one, I would highly advise you use it. If not, that's not a biggie. There are the other things that you can do to help protect your hair, and you'll be fine. They stay hydrated. Drink water, water, water. Your skin can get dry, your hair can get dry, the inside of your body can get dehydrated. Not only is that bad for your organs, it's bad for your health, it's terrible for your skin. We're dealing with this cold, brittle, dry weather. Think about everything being cold and dry. It's naturally going to be dry. You want to keep your insides nice and hydrated. Drink water, water, water. That will help so much. For those of you who don't have the humidifier, this is your other option. But everybody, ideally, drink plenty of water. And if you're not a water drinker, then just find a way to drink it. If that means you need to add some fruit to it, or you need to infuse it with something to get it down, you must drink water if you want to keep that beautiful, supple, soft, glowing skin that I know that you want. Drink your water. Your scalp gets nourished because the blood rushes to your scalp and everything is circulating the way it needs to, and your hair grows from that scalp. So whatever kind of condition your scalp is in, that is what you're going to get from your hair. So that was a side note, but it was an option. But back to the scalp massages. This is another one that you can do to help protect your hair for the same reason. You keep that stimulation on your scalp. Oh my gosh, it feels good already. And just begin to massage a good healthy oil into your scalp or whatever it is that you use. And just use your finger pads, not your fingernails, your pads of your fingers. Just 2 or 3 minutes a few times a week while you're just sitting, I don't know, watching TV or playing on your phone or whatever. That stimulation in your scalp, as you keep hearing over and over again, causes the oxygen, the blood to rush to your scalp, and that is a healthy environment for growing. Now, from the inside, you need the circulation, you need the oxygen, you need the hydration, and you need the blood underneath the scalp. On the top of the scalp, it needs to stay clean. And then you're setting yourself up for a nice, beautiful hair growth season. If you are like the Ayurvedic herbs, so many companies are using those in oils now, particularly those kind. Use those Ayurvedic herb oils to rub into your scalp a few times a week. Huge on that. And people have keep telling me, your hair looks so healthy, it's looking so good, like it's growing. And I'm like, it's those herbs. I tell everybody, it is those herbs. I'm using more products that have those ingredients in it, and it just keeps your follicles nice and strong, so it holds down those hair strands so they're not falling out as much. It strengthens the actual hair strands so it's not breaking as much. There are some of them that causes your hair to be nice and moisturized. In combination, when you find a company that knows what they're doing, somebody who studied it and know what each ingredient is supposed to do and put it together in the right product, it's so healthy for your hair. Now they do have strengthening capabilities, most of them. So you have to make sure that your hair is moisturized. Otherwise, the deep conditioner, plenty of water, moisturizers with water, aloe vera juice, have to stay moisturized if you're going to use Ayurvedic herbs. But those oils during the scalp massages, wonderful all year round. I will tell anybody, I truly start noticing that my hair was growing at that point when I started using those. I can almost date it back to the first one that I used that I loved, and then just started using them. And now, like, almost every company I use now have them in them. Even those that didn't have it now are adding them in it because people are talking about the benefits and people are seeing such good results. So do those scalp massages. Like, this costs nothing. It's hard to remember if you're not used to it. Stick it in your calendar. Set an alarm for it 2 or 3 times a week. If you remember to do it, it's nothing to just sit there and do it for a few minutes. So definitely do that. And definitely if you have braids or you're protective styling, those scalp massages are even better for you because your scalp is getting some stimulation, whereas you're combing it and brushing it and washing it and all the things you would typically do are not happening. Those scalp massages are everything. So that is it, this long video. I want you to add your protective tips down below. What do you do to protect your hair in the winter time? And I want everybody to go through, and if you have something to add, definitely add yours. And for the rest of you, go down and please read those, because I guarantee you're going to find things in there that I didn't mention that is going to be so good for you. I always read those comments. You guys are always teaching me stuff, and that's what I wanted. A space where we can teach each other. This is not just about me. I learned so much from you guys, and so everybody go down and be sure that you read those and pick up some tips for yourself. And then if you are exposed to the information, once you come across that situation in real life, you'll remember. That light bulb will go on that says, this hoodie doesn't have satin in it, so I'm taking it off. Or, oops, this hat needs to be lined with satin, I'm taking it off, because I didn't say those, but those are some other tips. You want to make sure anything you put on your hair is satin lined, not just the pillowcases in the bonnet at night. If you are a hoodie wearer, if you are a hat wearer, try to get those lined. And it doesn't, you don't have to buy expensive ones. You can go to the craft store yourself and buy satin material and tack that lining to your hats or to your hoodies or whatever. But there are plenty of retail places that make them if you want to buy them. Anyway, add your tips down below. If you have never subscribed, you need to subscribe to this channel, because as the seasons change, as our hair changes, as I think of different things that I think would be helpful to you, I am going to come on and I'm going to let you know that, and I want to share the information. I want you to be able to get it in detail. Sometimes people list stuff of things to do and not to do, and they don't tell you why. And I really think if you understood why things are important, they're so much easier to do, they're easier to remember, and you're more apt to do them. So drop down below and add yours. Like this video on the way out if you did, and you want more winter tips as I think of them and more things to talk about, you can drop those down below. I'm going to see you guys later. I've worn myself out. I'll talk to you later. Bye.